Israel Adesanya.
28-0!
The McGregor announcing
about a guy who is
What's up, my homies? Lay here. Edson Barboza taking on Giga Chikadze. What a main event this one is. Guys, my predictions on the last card were just abysmal. You know, if I'm looking for a word to describe my predictions on the last one, abysmal. But here's the thing, man. You can't let a win get too much to your head, and you can't let a loss get too much to your heart. My predictions, man, like Clay Guido, it was looking like it was going to happen. It just didn't. Brandon Royval outside of round 1. It was looking like it was going to happen. It just didn't. KG after that round 2. It was looking like it was going to happen, but it didn't. Chase Sherman, I mean, that one never looked like it was going to happen. So yeah, guys, I'm pretty excited to move on from that card. We've got Barboza taking on Chikadze and some matchups to break down. I'm going to try to be logical with these predictions. Alright, let's jump into it. Alright guys, we've got Martinez taking on Guido Cannetti. Now Martinez was originally supposed to fight Jesse Strader. We didn't get that fight. Then he was matched up with Trevin Jones, which was a pretty bad matchup in my opinion. And when I say a bad matchup, I don't mean like the matchmaking. I mean like the match for Martinez. It would have been a bad one. But now he's got Guido Cannetti. You know, nearly 42 years old. So yeah, Martinez, in my opinion, is expected to win this matchup. Now, if you're looking for positives for Guido Cannetti, he did win round 1 against Marlon Vera. But everyone wins round 1 against Marlon Vera. It's like some inside joke that Marlon Vera's got. You know, he just gives away round 1, gives the opponent some hope. Obviously, anything can happen in a fight. It only takes one big punch for Guido Cannetti. And maybe he could get really scrappy and edge out a close decision. But I think the most likely, the most logical, is going to be Martinez with the speed and the counter punching. You know, you look at what Dinar Bakiril did to Guido Cannetti. Now granted, Dinar Bakiril is a super violent guy. Martinez isn't that violent, but he's still going to have the speed to counter punch. So that's what I'm going to go with here. I'll take Martinez, most likely a TKO. My numbers, I'd put Mana at least a minus 250. And the actual numbers, we've got Martinez minus 350. Yeah, I think he should be a favourite, but that's, you know, it's getting steep. It's getting real steep. Martinez has 10 pro fights. It's a little bit too much in my opinion. Alright, we've got Pat Sabatini taking on Jamall Emmers. Guys, in my opinion, this one is a pick'em. And the reason why I believe this one's a pick'em, Pat Sabatini displayed really nice wrestling in his UFC debut. Now, Jamall Emmers hasn't exactly shown good wrestling in his UFC career so far. But this guy can wrestle. You know, he's no slouch with the grappling. If I had to decide who the better wrestler was between Pat Sabatini and Jamall Emmers, I would say Pat Sabatini. But as we know, there is more to mixed martial arts than just wrestling. We need to look at the striking. The striking, I'm siding more with Jamall Emmers. Pat Sabatini will use some combinations on the outside, but this guy is way more of a wrestler than he is a striker. You know, I can't really picture Pat Sabatini hurting Jamall Emmers with strikes, but I can picture Jamall Emmers hurting Pat Sabatini with strikes. This one's just really decent matchmaking. I'm gonna side with Pat Sabatini to get the takedowns. I'm just not super confident, so I'm not gonna bet on this one, but I'm gonna side with Pat Sabatini. My numbers, I'll put them both minus 110. It's a really difficult one to cap in my opinion. And we've got Jamall Emmers minus 150. Pat Sabatini plus 120. Yeah, I do disagree with the line. You know, even if Jamall Emmers wins, unless he completely dominates or goes in there and makes 2 rounds really decisive, I do disagree with the line. I think it should be closer. And you know, I'm speaking about Jamall Emmers. Same goes for Pat Sabatini. You know, he has to go in there and get takedowns. Because if he doesn't, then yeah, he is a plus 120, maybe even more. Whoever implements their game plan better, that's the winner. I think Pat Sabatini to win this fight. Takedown City. Alright man, we're going to spark up for this one. We've got JJ Aldrich taking on Venessa Demopoulos. And I'm going to tell you why we're sparking up. Guys, had a really bad card last week. Really bad card, man. And I mentioned on the last card, my women's predictions, women's MMA predictions, it's not that good. And I predicted that Nunes was going to win the fight. I said I felt, you know, she's going to be able to close the distance with her big punches. You know, you can go back last week and listen to it. But I changed my prediction. I left a comment saying, man, I'm going to change my prediction. I'm going to take Bia Malecki to use the length. Yeah, same result. Women's MMA prediction, it was wrong. So yeah, I'm sparking up on this one, man. We've got JJ Aldrich taking on Venessa Demopoulos. Alright, I'm just going to try keep it logical, man. I just want to look at the logic. JJ Aldrich has fought better competition. She's been in the UFC. Her boxing's pretty good. She can use the jab. She can grapple. She has been stopped, but she is still pretty tough. JJ Aldrich has to win this fight. It doesn't make sense if she doesn't win this fight. Man, I'm gonna predict that JJ Aldrich wins. Oh man, if I get this one wrong, guys, God help me. I'm gonna price JJ Aldrich minus 300. And the actual numbers, JJ Aldrich minus 350. Yeah man, all the logic here points to JJ Aldrich. I just think she's gonna box up Venessa. Venessa is a jiu-jitsu fighter, and that may not be enough to win this one. The logic, man, please let the logic be right on this one. Alright, we've got Darren Stewart taking on Dustin Jacoby. Now, what we've seen from Dustin Jacoby at the moment is a super violent low kick. This guy is firing that low kick like he's trying to take your leg completely off. And that's pretty much what he did to Justin Ledet. If you can remember his debut, he just displayed that low kick over and over and over. I'm not really sure what the game plan of Darren Stewart was in his last matchup. He was like really light on his feet. You know, he was bouncing in and out like a Wonder Boy style. And Darren Stewart is not that guy, right? You know that meme where he's like, you're just not that guy, pal. Darren Stewart is not a Wonder Boy. And he was trying to use that style. And obviously, using that type of style, you're going to slow down. If anyone could use that style, I think everyone would, right? So yeah, if Darren uses that lightness on the feet again, he's going to gas out. And if he doesn't use the lightness and he tries to sit down on punches, then I think Jacoby's going to land a low kick even easier. So yeah, my prediction on this one's going to be low kick central for Dustin Jacoby. For Darren Stewart to win this one, he's got to use his boxing. And to use your boxing, you got to get on the inside. Dustin Jacoby's going to keep him on the outside with the kicks. Yeah, good matchup. I'm going to take Dustin. Oh boy, we've got Sam Alvey taking on Wellington Turman. Now I'm saying oh boy because if Sam Alvey loses again, then it's, you know, what are you doing, Sam? At this point, you're just taking paychecks. Hasn't won a fight since mid-2018. Now Wellington Turman has to win pretty much. He's been slept in his last two fights. Andrew Sanchez slept him, then Bruno Silva slept him. Sam Alvey's looking for that smiling counterpunch. You know, I kind of feel like someone's getting slept here. Now we know about Sam Alvey, man. He's always looking the same. Plotting on his feet, hasn't got super quick movement, looking to counterpunch, right? He likes to fight on the back foot. Circles on the outside. Now Wellington Turman is a more physical man. He probably should shoot on the legs of Sam Alvey, establish a body lock, take the fight to the mat. Now he tried to do that with Bruno Silva, but ended up on the bottom. If he ends up on the bottom here, I wouldn't say it's as dangerous as what it was against Bruno Silva. But there's more of a chance that Wellington Turman's going to end up on top with the takedown. Obviously, you're not confident either way. You know, Wellington Turman, he's been getting slept left, right and centre. Sam Alvey hasn't won since mid-2018. Somebody has to win this one. I'm gonna take Wellington Turman. I don't feel great. You know, he's been getting slept. But he is a more physical guy. He's younger. And he's got to win. He's got to win this one. Obviously, if you're Sam Alvey, just be Sam Alvey, man. Look for the counter punch. If you can find that right counter punch, you can sleep him. It's a good matchup. I'm going to take Wellington. Now, because Sam Alvey hasn't won since mid-2018 and Wellington Turman keeps getting slept, got to keep the odds pretty close. I'd put Wellington around minus 150. We've got Wellington Turman minus 150 up to minus 160. Yeah, the bookmakers know. And the gamblers know too. You know, you've got Sam Alvey, a really small plus, which he should be. Wellington Turman minus 150. Yeah, spot on, man. Yeah, be careful with this line. If you're betting on Sam Alvey, you've got the plus. You can just hit it straight. Don't put Wellington Turman into too many parlays. Don't do it, man. All right, we sparked up for him against Brago Neto. Right, we're going to spark up for him again. We're going to do it. All right, we've got Abdul Razak Alhassan taking on Alessio de Chirico. So Alhassan, man, lost to Menezes, got slept by Chaos Williams, and then he lost to Jacob Malkoon. Yeah, he did have a pretty favourable matchup against Brago Neto, a jiu-jitsu guy. Now he's fighting Alessio de Chirico. This matchup isn't as easy, right? You see what Alessio did to Buckley, right? Just completely took his status, if you will. You know, Buckley was coming off that huge knockout, one of the best knockouts in UFC history. And Alessio said, it's my time. I'm going to take all of that status. So Alessio actually has a chance to build on that. You know, he has a big head kick win against Buckley. Now he's fighting a guy who's 0 wins, 3 losses in his last 3 fights. The more powerful guy, obviously, is Razak Alhassan. We've seen what this guy can do. He can knock you dead. But he's been the guy being knocked dead recently. Or he's been taken down. Alessio de Chirico isn't exactly an elite guy. He's not really good at boxing, really good at kicking. He's not really good at grappling. There's nowhere that Alessio really shines. He's just a hard worker and he's been improving. And when you look at what he did to Buckley, you know, this guy isn't too bad. Alessio, to win this matchup, he still needs to go and take it from Alhassan. Alhassan's going to try to walk him down to land that power. Alessio needs to either level change or just try to avoid that power. If the fight hits round 2, that's where Alhassan's going to be more fatigued, more tired. And that's where you have to take it from him. Now, if this matchup happened maybe 2 or 3 matchups ago, I'd maybe take Alhassan. But the fact that Alessio is coming off that big knockout win against Buckley, yeah, I'm just liking the momentum for the Italian. So that's what I'm going to take here. I was originally taking Alhassan against Brago Neto, but now it's a more difficult matchup, and I'm much preferring the Italian. So yeah, maybe Alessio has higher output, better striking success outside of round 1, and maybe some grappling against the fence with some takedowns. My prediction's going to be Alessio de Chirico. My numbers, I'd put Alessio around minus 170. And the actual numbers, we've got Alessio minus 250. I mean, Alhassan is going to come for that knockout. But Alessio, if he's smart, composed, intelligent, yeah, he can win this one. All right, my homies, you know what time it is. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker, but you enjoy the smoke breaks, triple amen, gang. Let's go. Hey, shout out to the whole gang, man. Shout out to the whole gang. Hope you guys are doing well, doing blessed, doing good, having a good day, having a good week, man. My Instagram, UFC Lay. My Patreon, UFC GA. Shout out to all the homies on my Patreon, man. All 85 of you. Unbelievable. You guys are awesome. You know, I touched on it at the start of this video. You can't let a win get too much to your head. You can't let a loss get too much to your heart. That's balance, right? That's how we should be playing this game. And when I say playing this game, I'm not just speaking about gambling. I'm speaking about everything, right? But yeah, man, it just sucks, right? It sucks. There's having a bad card where you get maybe 4 or 5 predictions wrong. And then there's getting like 5 wrong in a row, and it sucks, man. But yeah, we move on from that card. We move on, and we've got some matchups. I feel like my picks so far have been logical. You know, I feel like I'm using the logic. But that's not to say that I feel like I wasn't using the logic. You know what I mean? When you have a bad card, it's not because your logic was off. It's because fighting is awesome. So yeah, I guess that can be the smoke break topic for this one. Not to use this quote just for gambling. This quote is used for everything, right? It's used for everything. So yeah, guys, I'm trying to turn a negative into a positive. Last week was a horrible, horrible card for me. I don't want to let it get too much to my heart, you know? I've been predicting matchups for 3 years now, week in, week out. And it happens, man. Every now and then, every 3 years, you get a complete stinker. So yeah, it makes you kind of think, man, you know, my next predictions, what am I going to do? My predictions were so bad. Am I going to predict the fight right again? That's kind of the mindset that you get into, and you start to self-doubt yourself, right? But that's the topic, guys. Never let a loss get too much to your heart. Never let a win get too much to your head. Because that's honestly what we do. You can predict the card, guys. You know, you do it week in, week out with me. You can predict a card where you feel like God. You feel like God. But then next week, you can feel God awful. You know, you can be on the complete other end of the scale. You know, you go from God to God awful. And the truth is, you can be anywhere between that. You can be between God and God awful. And that's what we do every week, man. We just use our logic to make a prediction. And that's all we do. So yeah, all my homies, man, that's the topic. In life, if you fail, don't let that get to your heart. In life, if you succeed, don't let that get to your head. So amen to that. Let's break down these main fights. Let's go. This one's going to be a good one, man. I can feel it. Alright, guys, we've got GM3 taking on Makhmud Muradov. Now, I'm quite confident with this prediction. If we take a look at GM3's last few UFC matchups, he got a split decision loss to Eric Anders over a year ago. And then he got a nice win against Darren Win. Then he got completely obliterated by Ian Heinisch. Completely obliterated by Khamzat Chimaev. And then a nice submission win against Bartosz Verbinski. There's a level of competition that GM3 beats. And I don't believe Makhmud Muradov is in that level of competition. I believe he's above that level of competition. If you're not careful striking with Makhmud Muradov, he will break your face. You know, he had a clear win against Alessio de Chirico. Completely broke Trevor Smith's face. And then you know what he done to Andrew Sanchez? You know that dance on Christmas Day that you tried to do when you've had one too many? That's what Andrew Sanchez looked like. You know, he got hit with that right hand and he was on skates, looking like Bambi. There's a reason why Floyd Mayweather's team, or should I say the team Floyd Mayweather, signed Makhmud Muradov. This guy has really, really decent boxing. There's one place that GM3 wins this matchup in my opinion, and that's on the mat. He has to take down Makhmud Muradov, but it's not going to happen in my opinion. I'll take Makhmud Muradov to completely obliterate GM3 with the striking. Yeah, my numbers, I'm going to put Muradov around, I mean, it's got to be at least a minus 300, minus 350. And we've got Muradov minus 4, minus 450. Yeah, the striking difference between GM3 and Muradov is just massive. GM3 has to take this fight to the mat. I'm not sure it's going to happen. If it stays on the feet, there's going to be a massacre. Alright guys, we've got Andre Petroski taking on Michael Gillmore. Now I had to go watch some Ultimate Fighter matchups to understand who these guys were better. And you know, these matchups between Petroski, Gillmore, Ricky and Hiestand, Brian Battle and Gilbert, you know, these matchups are lower level matchups, but I still feel quite confident with my predictions. So Andrei Petroski is a Division 1 wrestler. This guy has really, really strong wrestling. Michael Gillmore, from what I can see, likes to use the low kick. In mixed martial arts, it always comes down to who can implement their style. Or as Ricky Turcios would like to say, we are going to test my mixed martial arts skill against your mixed martial arts skill, and we're going to find out who's better. That's really what it is. So you're going to have Petroski shooting for takedowns. Michael Gillmore then has to use BJJ or get back to his feet. Petroski hasn't got the best cardio, the best conditioning you've ever seen. But I do still favour him to land that top control, especially in round 1. Round 2, that's where he's going to slow down a little bit. But against Michael Gillmore, he should be able to still get the takedown. Now, if he doesn't get the takedown, Michael Gillmore is going to look to land that low kick over and over and basically try to stop Petroski. But my prediction is going to be the Division 1 wrestler, Andrei Petroski, to use that background, use those credentials. Yeah, it could be a ground and pound finish, could be a submission, could go 15 minutes. Overall, I like Petroski to win this matchup. And we've got Petroski -4. My goodness. Yeah, like I was saying, his conditioning, his cardio isn't the best. So I have no concerns that he can do it round 1. Round 1, I can see takedowns all day. But if it gets to round 2 and he's a little bit more tired, yeah, -400 is insane, man. Alright, we've got Kevin Lee taking on D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. What a matchup this is. So Kevin Lee, man, we know about Kevin Lee. He's been around for a long time. Not like a Clay Guido amount of time, but, you know, he's been in the UFC for a while. If you don't know Kevin Lee, this guy is primarily a wrestler. If he's not using the wrestling, his boxing isn't the best, isn't the worst. He can box. Now, I'm sure most of you remember what he did to Gregor Gillespie. You know, Kevin Lee can kick you too. You know, he'll send the high kick, and if your head's there, you're going to go to sleep. So yeah, Kevin Lee, pretty well-rounded guy, wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and he'll throw the head kick. Now the problem with Kevin Lee, in my opinion, when his wrestling doesn't work, he just seems to tire. His cardio isn't great. Outside of round 1, he's way less dangerous. You know, he's been training at TriStar for a while now. I'm not saying his cardio is going to be better because he's training at TriStar, but you kind of learn to manage your energy a little bit better throughout your career, you know? So, of course, he's going to look for takedowns against Daniel Rodriguez. If you stand and trade with Daniel Rodriguez, you are asking to lose the fight. You know, you look at what Daniel Rodriguez did to Preston Parsons. Now, obviously, Preston Parsons isn't a superstar in the sport, but you look at what Daniel Rodriguez did to him. He just gave him a boxing lesson. You know, he basically said to him, look, your defense needs to be better because this is what's going to happen if it's not. So yeah, we've got two sides to this fight. Kevin Lee wants to take down Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez wants to stand and break the jaw of Kevin Lee. In round 1, I do feel like Kevin Lee's going to get that takedown. But we've seen that it doesn't happen outside of round 1. So that's what you're gambling with here. If you're gambling on Kevin Lee, you're basically predicting that he can do it longer than 1 round. If you're gambling against Kevin Lee, you're gambling that he's going to basically gas out. It's a super difficult prediction to make. I took Charlie Olives against Kevin Lee. If Daniel Rodriguez gets put on his back, I know he has jiu-jitsu, but it's not to the level of Charlie Olives, right? So if Kevin Lee gets the takedown, he's not going to be in that type of world again. Man, super good matchup. I'm going to side with Kevin Lee to be able to do it more than 1 round. You know, take down Daniel Rodriguez. And then round 2 comes, you need to go again. So yeah, I'm basically gambling on the cardio of Kevin Lee. My numbers, you got to keep them close, man. I'd put Kevin Lee -130. Daniel Rodriguez +100. And we've got Kevin Lee -150. Daniel Rodriguez plus 120. Yeah, in my opinion, people are going to start to hit Daniel Rodriguez and Kevin Lee's price is going to come down. So if you want to bet on Kevin Lee, I'd say wait a couple days. Wait for that Daniel Rodriguez money to come in, and Daniel Rodriguez is going to drop closer to plus 100. And that's when Kevin Lee's price is going to come down. Obviously, predicting line movement is difficult. You might be wrong with that. But yeah, I'm going to assume that Kevin Lee's price is closer to plus 100 in a couple days' time. Alright guys, we've got Ricky Turcios taking on Brady Hiestand. Now let me just say, before I break this one down and I speak about the fighting side of this matchup, these guys have awesome personalities, man. I was watching, to break down these matchups, I had to go back and watch some Ultimate Fighter. I hadn't watched it yet. When you listen to Ricky speak, this guy, man, this guy speaks my language, guys. Everything he says, he's like, you feel me? Everything he says, he ends it with you feel me. Or he says man a lot. Or you know. You can tell Ricky smokes weed, man. This guy smokes weed. Now, I was listening to Brady Hiestand with the interviews, man. This guy's such a well-spoken young man. His mindset is just awesome. And I was thinking, when he was speaking with this interviewer, I was like, man, you got to finish this interview with the amen sign. And that's exactly what he did. He put his hands together with the amen. I'm like, yeah, you're my type of bro too. So yeah, Ricky, personality for days. Brady, personality for days. Let's speak about the fighting side of this matchup. Ricky's quite crazy on the feet, has some output. I wouldn't say he's like a Tony. I wouldn't go as far to say he's a Tony Ferguson. But I would say he's closer to that style. Right? Or as Ricky would say, you feel me? Now, Brady wants to use the takedown in this matchup. If he looks to stand and trade with Ricky, it's not going to go too well. For Brady to win this matchup, it's top control. Top control all day. But Ricky then has to use sweeps, look to get back to his feet. The truth of the matter, guys, this is a lower level matchup. Ricky has the skills, the ability to win. Brady also has the skills, the ability to win. Don't really want to pick against either of these guys, man, because whatever happens here, they're going to pick up more wins. But I'm going to side with Ricky. I just think if Ricky isn't stuck on his back and he's able to strike, yeah, I see all the points adding up for Ricky. So that's going to be my prediction here. I'll take Ricky. I'll say decision too, because Brady looks tough. He looks like he's ready for war. And that's another thing that Ricky kept mentioning. He kept saying, we have to do battle. And I was like, yeah, I feel you on that. And he kept asking you too. He's like, you feel me? Yep, get it completely. You're a fighter. My numbers on this one, guys, I'd put Ricky around minus 150. Because there is a chance, man. Brady is going to look for takedowns. And you've got Ricky minus 170. Yeah. The odds are, they're in the ballpark. Ricky, slight advantage. Brady, he's going to come with takedowns. It's a good matchup. I'm looking forward to it. Now, before you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you're not really looking forward to this one. But after you watch it, yeah, looking forward to it. Alright, we've got Bryan Battle taking on Gilbert Urbina. Now again, this is an Ultimate Fighter matchup, co-main event. Both of these guys, man, good guys. You listen to them speak, the personalities, man. You can't dislike these guys. Now, Gilbert Urbina did get slept on the Ultimate Fighter. It was a devastating counterpunch. Bryan Battle was able to pull off a nice submission win against Andre Petroski. Now, despite Bryan Battle finishing that fight with a submission, I do think he should stay away from the mat, right? Gilbert Urbina probably should look for takedowns. I mentioned with the last matchup, when you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you get to listen to these guys speak. Now, Gilbert Urbina was speaking about how his friends always say, shoot for takedowns, shoot for takedowns. And that's because that's what he's best at doing, right? He's best at grappling. So even though he likes that his striking has evolved, if you're Gilbert Urbina, if you want to win this matchup, you have to shoot for takedowns. You have to go to the mat. And if you're Bryan Battle, despite getting that submission win against Andre Petroski, if you want to win this matchup, you probably should stick to kickboxing. Now, that's not to say that Bryan Battle can't grapple, right? Because when you're pulling off submission wins like that, you prove to everyone you've got the intelligence on the mat. But again, with being a fighter, man, you like to do it all, right? Gilbert Urbina knows he's best at grappling, but he wanted to strike. He got counterpunched. Bryan Battle looks like a well-rounded guy, but in this specific matchup, his kickboxing is going to be above Gilbert Urbina. It is above Gilbert Urbina. So yeah, it comes down to whoever implements their style, whoever implements their game plan better, who's ever more dominant with it, that's the winner. My prediction, I'm going to take Bryan Battle to use the kickboxing. You know, for every second that he's not on the mat, I see him basically just being the higher level guy in there. So purely for those reasons, I'm going to take Bryan Battle. Is he going to get a finish? Difficult to say. I'll probably go with a decision. You know, this is a high stakes match. Big moment for both of these guys in their career. I'm going to side with Bryan Battle to win with the kickboxing. Alright, my homies, we've got Edson Barboza taking on Giga Chikadze as a main event. Yeah, this main event is just pure nasty. You know, it's sickening. This is a super sick main event. Let's start with Chikadze. Right, so I haven't picked against Chikadze yet. I took him in his debut against Brandon Davis. Then I took him against Jamall Emmers, Rivera, Omar Morales. I took him against Jamie Simmons and Cub Swanson. You know, that body kick against Cub. Oh my goodness, just pure nasty. So I'm 6-0 with Giga Chikadze. Kind of reminding myself a little bit of last week with that KG streak. But yeah, man, I'm a big believer of Chikadze. His style is purely kicking. You know, he's not much of a puncher, but it's the kicks. And when you think about that, how can a guy be so good at just kicking? You know, he's not really a puncher. How is he winning matchups? Guys, there's levels to kicking. There's levels to kicking. And Chikadze is right up there. You know, you kind of fall into the trap of what is he going to do next? What kick is coming next? And you quickly respect him. You know, you get kicked once or twice and you quickly fall into the game plan of Giga Chikadze. It's a little bit like a Garnet, right? You fall into that trap of just watching the opponent. And all of a sudden, you're in that matchup. It's difficult to get out of it. And that's what happened to Omar Morales. That's what happened to Jamall Emmers, Brandon Davis. All of these guys, man. Chikadze is really good at fighting his fight. Now, the reason why this one is such a sick main event, Edson Barboza has exactly the same style as Giga Chikadze. You know, Chikadze hasn't fought anyone that wants to get in there and purely kick the opponent. Edson Barboza has built a career off of just getting in there and obliterating the opponent with kicks. That's what Edson Barboza's all about. And that's why this one's such a sick main event. You've got Edson Barboza, this high-level elite kicker, taking on Giga, this high-level elite kicker. Now the difference is, in my opinion, if you have to look at who is the better boxer, it's Edson Barboza. We've seen this guy have success with his hands. You look at what he done against Shane Burgos. You know, that punch was so delayed, the reaction of Shane Burgos. But yeah, man, Edson Barboza, he will rip to the body. He will try to land some hooks up top. Chikadze isn't much of a puncher. He's been able to win these fights purely based off his kicking. Could Chikadze finish Barboza with a kick? Yes, he could. But Barboza could also finish Chikadze with a kick. You know, both of these guys, man, will take your head completely clean off with their kicks. They will beat your body with kicks. They will disable your legs with kicks. I've never picked against Chikadze, but I'm gonna do it here. I think Edson Barboza just has way more experience. And he likes to fight a similar fight. You know, he likes to kick. And if Chikadze has a guy who also knows how to play that kicking game, it's gonna be really difficult. I know a lot of people have doubted Chikadze throughout his career. I remember people picking Brandon Davis, picking Jamall Emmers, picking Omar Morales. You know, Chikadze reminds me of a Dan Ige. He's difficult to bet against. So if I'm wrong in this one, if I pick against Chikadze for the first time and he obliterates Edson Barboza, all the credit in the world to Giga. But over 25 minutes against a guy who's also a really high level kicker, now is the time to fade Chikadze, in my opinion. So my prediction is going to be Edson Barboza, maybe inside the distance. My numbers, I'm going to keep them quite close just because of the style. You know, that there's going to be kicks, a lot of kicks on display. So I'll put Edson Barboza minus 130, Chikadze plus 100. And you've got both of these guys minus 110. Yeah, the bookies are basically saying, hey, look, pick a side if you dare. Pick a side if you dare. And I may just. Alright, my homies, leave down your underdogs, parlays, all of that good stuff. And guys, remember, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Mac Miller. Alright, peace.